Salt Bae, or Nusret Gökçe, the man who made sprinkling salt a viral art form and built an empire on steak, spectacle, and a whole lot of flexing. From golden tomahawks to celebrity-packed dinners, Salt Bae has been seasoning his way through the internet and high-end restaurants alike. But beneath the cool sunglasses, flashy Instagram posts, and muscle-bound steak slicing, there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. Think overpriced food, awkward public appearances, and yes, some very questionable decisions. So let's dig into everything wrong with Salt Bae. You might be surprised at just how much salt there is to spill. Sorry to interrupt, but Salt Bae just sprinkled some magic on your screen. Now all you need to do is subscribe. Thank you very much. Overpriced steaks. Are we paying for the meat or the meme? Salt Bae's notorious $1,000 golden steak is probably the most outrageous part of his brand. Sure, it's covered in gold leaf, but unless you're a millionaire or an Instagram influencer who's really paying that kind of cash for a meal, gold leaf has no flavor and it's purely for visual appeal. But let's be honest, no one's ordering that steak for the taste. It's all about the social media flex. That famous sprinkle of salt might be fun to watch, but is it worth the price tag? The average person is probably wondering if they're paying for the steak or for the chance to watch Salt Bae do his famous sprinkle move. Well, it's probably the sprinkle. Gold doesn't make a steak more tender or flavorful, but it sure does inflate the price. And if Salt Bae's restaurants are known for anything, it's charging a small fortune for the privilege of dining in his presence. Mediocre reviews. Despite the buzz and the flashy image, the reviews for Salt Bae's restaurants are less than stellar. For every Instagram post of a golden steak, there are countless customer reviews calling the food mediocre and overhyped. Paying hundreds of dollars for a meal that doesn't live up to expectations is bound to leave a sour taste in anyone's mouth. But somehow, Salt Bae's allure keeps drawing people in, whether it's the hope that they'll get a sprinkle show or that they'll spot a celebrity at the table next to them. Unfortunately, many customers are left wondering if they're paying for the experience or the food. Even the most expensive steak in the world can't save you from a bad Yelp review. And Salt Bae's restaurants seem to have more than their fair share of those. The meme that won't die. Salt Bae first gained fame in 2017, sprinkling salt with flair in a viral video that made him a global sensation. But here's the thing about internet fame. It doesn't last forever. While most memes fade away after a few weeks, Salt Bae has been clinging to his moment in the spotlight for far too long. He's still trying to ride the wave of that single viral moment. The sprinkle? It was great. 5 years ago. Now, it feels like watching someone try to bring back an outdated trend. The problem is, the internet has moved on, but Salt Bae hasn't. The salt sprinkling move, once cool and fresh, now feels a little stale, don't you think? World Cup Party Crasher. In 2022, Salt Bae somehow found himself crashing Argentina's World Cup celebration, trying and failing to get a selfie with Lionel Messi. It was a cringe-worthy moment that left everyone asking, what is he doing there? Even FIFA had to step in afterward and clarify that Salt Bae had no business being on the field. It was one of those rare moments where someone goes from being a mildly entertaining personality to full-on embarrassment. Watching Salt Bae awkwardly grab at the World Cup trophy, only to be ignored by the players, was painful. Some people know when to step aside and let others have their moment. Salt Bae clearly does not. Awkward red carpet moment at Cannes. Speaking of awkward public appearances, Salt Bae's stroll down the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival was another head-scratcher. Let's be real. What does a guy famous for sprinkling salt have to do with film? Strutting down the red carpet like a movie star, Salt Bae looked like he thought he belonged there, but everyone else seemed confused. Sure, he serves steaks to celebrities, but that doesn't make him one. Walking the red carpet at a prestigious film festival is a little different than serving up overpriced meat. But in true Salt Bae fashion, he smiled for the cameras like he was the main event. Golden steaks, tasteless, literally. If there's one thing that defines Salt Bae's brand, it's the gold-covered steak. People pay exorbitant prices for these meals, but the reality is that gold leaf is completely tasteless. That's right. There's no flavor enhancement, no added texture, nothing but a shiny surface to make your food look expensive. But somehow, Salt Bae has convinced the world that wrapping a steak in gold makes it worth a small fortune. If you're paying more for your steak to look good than for it to taste good, maybe it's time to rethink your priorities. But hey, at least it'll look good on Instagram, right? Famous people at Salt Bae's restaurant. Awkward or awesome? One of the biggest draws to Salt Bae's restaurants is the possibility of rubbing elbows with celebrities. From athletes like David Beckham and Lionel Messi to Hollywood stars like Leonardo DiCaprio, Salt Bae's establishments have hosted some of the world's biggest names. But here's the thing. Watching these A-listers try to act impressed while Salt Bae sprinkles salt is nothing short of awkward. Take Leonardo DiCaprio, for example. When he visited one of Salt Bae's restaurants, his reaction was one for the books. As Salt Bae performed his signature salt sprinkle, Leo tried his best to look entertained, but the result was a mix of forced smiles and polite nods. Feeding celebrities like baby birds. Salt Bae has taken the concept of personal service to a whole new uncomfortable level. Celebrities dining at his restaurants often find themselves being hand-fed by Salt Bae himself, as if they're baby birds being fed by their mother. Is this supposed to be part of the experience, or is it just plain weird? Watching Salt Bae drop food into someone's mouth while they awkwardly smile for the camera is unsettling at best. It's one of those moments where you wonder if you're paying for the food or for a strange, overly personal interaction with the man behind the meme. Controversial management practices. Behind the scenes, the Salt Bae empire has faced some troubling accusations. Several reports have surfaced from former employees claiming they were subjected to unpaid wages, long working hours, and poor treatment. For someone who has built a massive empire on his viral fame, Salt Bae's reputation as a boss doesn't seem nearly as glamorous. It turns out that sprinkling salt doesn't necessarily mean you know how to run a business. When you're making millions off gold-wrapped steaks, you'd think there'd be enough to pay your staff on time. But according to these reports, Salt Bae's restaurants may be more focused on spectacle than taking care of their employees. What's with the sunglasses? It's impossible to talk about Salt Bae without mentioning his ever-present sunglasses. Indoors, outdoors, day, night, it doesn't matter. Those shades are glued to his face. Is he trying to hide from the fact that his meme fame is fading, or is it just part of his cool guy persona? Either way, the look is starting to feel more like a tired gimmick than a fashion statement. At some point, even the coolest trends lose their shine, and Salt Bae might want to take off the sunglasses before he fades completely into obscurity. Social media content. Salt Bae's Instagram is a veritable treasure trove of awkwardness. From strange workout videos to overly staged photos of him slicing meat, his social media presence feels like someone desperately clinging to a long-lost viral moment. It's clear that Salt Bae wants to keep the magic alive, but let's be honest, it's not really working. Watching him flex his muscles while tenderizing steaks or pose with celebrities who look as uncomfortable as we feel is a reminder that internet fame is fleeting. The more he tries to prove that he's still relevant, the more it feels like the world has moved on. Reviews don't live up to the hype. For all the social media attention and celebrity endorsements, Salt Bae's restaurants don't always get glowing reviews. In fact, many customers leave feeling like they paid way too much for what was, at best, a decent meal. Words like overpriced and underwhelming are used frequently in online reviews, and it seems like Salt Bae's reputation is built more on spectacle than on substance. While people may come for the Instagram moment, they don't always leave satisfied with the food. It's almost as if the theatrics are meant to distract from the fact that the meal itself isn't all that impressive. Salt Bae's muscles, a culinary flex. Let's not pretend we haven't noticed Salt Bae's dedication to his physique. The guy clearly spends as much time at the gym as he does in the kitchen, if not more. And he doesn't miss an opportunity to remind us. Whether it's him slicing a steak while flexing his biceps or casually posing shirtless in the kitchen, Salt Bae seems determined to prove that his body is as finely sculpted as the overpriced steaks he serves. But here's the thing. While it's impressive that he can rock a tank top and a meat cleaver simultaneously, maybe we don't need to see the man's triceps while we're trying to enjoy a meal. It's like dining at a restaurant and accidentally stumbling into a gym session. It's all part of the experience, I guess. But does anyone else feel like Salt Bae's workout routine is a little too well done? The infamous steak workout video. There's something about Salt Bae's bizarre workout video where he flexes his muscles while holding steaks that just doesn't sit right. Is this supposed to be funny? Serious? No one's really sure, but what we do know is that it's just plain weird. Watching Salt Bae tenderize meat while getting in a workout is a strange blend of fitness and food prep that no one asked for. It's one of those moments where you wonder if he's in on the joke or if he really thinks this is how people get in shape. The Forgotten Butcher Knives. At one point, Salt Bae tried to branch out and sell his own line of butcher knives. Unfortunately for him, they didn't exactly fly off the shelves. Selling high-quality kitchen knives is no easy task, especially when your entire brand is built around sprinkling salt. While Salt Bae might be a viral sensation, that doesn't mean people trust him to supply them with the tools they need to cook. It turns out that sprinkling salt with flair doesn't make you an expert on cutlery, and people probably prefer to buy their knives from brands they actually trust. The gold-plated steak knife. Because why not? Not content with just serving golden steaks, Salt Bae also uses a gold-plated steak knife to slice through the meat, because of course he does. If there's one thing that screams excess, it's cutting into an already overpriced steak with a gold knife. Does it make the steak taste better? Absolutely not. But it sure makes for a good Instagram post, which is basically what Salt Bae's entire brand is built on. It's not about the food, it's about the photo. The Gordon Ramsay feud. Apparently, Salt Bae once claimed that his steaks were better than Gordon Ramsay's. That's a bold statement, considering Ramsay is one of the world's most renowned chefs.
Turn it over very carefully. Literally 30 seconds in the pan, you can see the color.
While Salt Bae may have the meme factor, Ramsay has decades of culinary expertise under his belt. It's one thing to sprinkle salt in style. It's another to challenge one of the most respected chefs in the world. Maybe Salt Bae should stick to what he knows best, flair, and leave the cooking to the professionals. London restaurant upselling tactics. Salt Bae's London restaurant has come under fire not just for its sky-high prices, but for the aggressive upselling tactics used by the staff. Customers have reported feeling pressured to order the most expensive items on the menu, with waiters pushing add-ons and upgrades at every turn. It's almost as if the restaurant knows the food won't live up to the hype, so they're determined to squeeze every penny out of their guests before they leave. If you're not careful, you might end up with a bill that costs more than your rent. Manhattan flop. Salt Bae's Manhattan debut didn't exactly go according to plan. The reviews were brutal, with critics calling the restaurant an overpriced Instagram trap. New York's food scene is competitive, and Salt Bae's restaurant didn't stand out for its culinary excellence. Instead, it became known for its overpriced menu and mediocre food. It turns out that even in a city where people will pay for anything, a golden steak still isn't worth $1,000. Poor customer service? If you're not spending, you're not special. Salt Bae's restaurants have gained a reputation for treating customers poorly if they don't order the most expensive items on the menu. There have been reports of waitstaff ignoring guests who don't opt for the gold-covered steak or other high-ticket items, leaving those who are trying to stick to a budget feeling like second-class citizens. It's a clear sign that the Salt Bae brand is less about creating a good dining experience and more about squeezing as much money as possible out of each guest. Is Salt Bae still relevant? The big question on everyone's mind: why does Salt Bae still think he's relevant? His viral fame from 2017 has long since faded, and yet he continues to act as if the world is still eagerly awaiting his next sprinkle. The truth is, the internet has moved on, but Salt Bae hasn't. Maybe it's time for him to find a new gimmick, or better yet, step away from the spotlight altogether. After all, how many times can you sprinkle salt before people stop caring? Salt Bae's unquestionable work ethic. No matter how you feel about Salt Bae's antics, you can't deny that the man has an incredible work ethic. Nusret Gökçe came from humble beginnings, working his way up from being an apprentice in a butcher shop to owning a global restaurant empire. That kind of rise takes dedication, hustle, and an unwavering belief in oneself. He's built a brand around his unique persona and skill, and while it might come off as flashy, it's undoubtedly a product of hard work and ambition. Whether you love or hate the gold stakes and the salt sprinkle, you have to respect the sheer grit that got him to where he is today. Salt Bae has shown that with hard work, even a simple gesture like sprinkling salt can turn into a worldwide phenomenon. And there you have it, folks. Everything wrong with Salt Bae. The man who turned seasoning into a sport and steaks into a luxury item for your Instagram feed. From awkward celebrity encounters to charging a small fortune for a side of theatrics, Salt Bae has proven that all that glitters is, well, just overpriced gold leaf. But hey, at least we'll always have that viral sprinkle, right? If you enjoyed this salty breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Until we meet again, stay seasoned.